I'm here to talk about the anatomy of a book cover. So are book covers all the same? I mean, obviously not. Like, we have big ones, small ones, not to get Armour Hot Dog on it, but there's quite a lot of different types of book cover. So I went through my book files and just picked out a paperback that I'm currently reading. It's quite good though. And they're probably the easiest to understand. You have your front, your back, your spine. Paperback. Simple. So the printing goes right up to the line, or to the cut line, which is important for background color. And your safe zone is within the margins. Most self-publishing places will have perfect binding, which is here. So we have your safe zone, your printing going up to the edge, and that's just an example of perfect binding. So then I rooted out a hardcover. So they always have a spine for a hardcover case binding. The pages are bound to a hardcover case and then to the cover. Some books will have a dust cover. So this will go up to the edge of the top of the book, and it will have a huge wraparound with some information. Usually the about the author kind of goes here, and maybe some testimonials. And then you also have a wrap. So rather than going up to the print line and stopping, your cover will go over the print line, wrap around, and then be glued into the book. So spine depends on the amount of pages that are in the book, what type of pages, what cardstock or paper stock it is. Your large overwrap with info on your dust cover if you're doing a dust cover. Now, some companies that do self-publishing will allow a dust cover and some won't, so it may not be an option for you. And then your paper, your printed wrap then goes in underneath the inside cover there. There's different types of binding. There's quite a lot of different types of binding. It's quite an ancient tradition. So again, went back to my bookshelf and found decorative binding. So this is Moody from 1900. It's hand stitched. It's a decorative binding. Actually, look up Moody. Very interesting person. He started for-profit libraries in the UK and has these gorgeous, gorgeous hand-stitched books, which are all imprinted with his Bound by Moody imprint. So here you can see the hand stitching that holds the pages together. You can see the little groups of pages, so they kind of come in little lines. See? So unlike perfect binding, which we showed you before, where everything is glued in, it's all perfect, all regular, there's no little lines, there's no delineation between any of the pages. So this is a hardcover case. So the pages are glued to the case, and then the cover is glued to the case as well. And we have sewn binding, which has no spine. So this is actually my passport. And this is sewn down the center. There's no spine. It's just all sewn together in the middle. Saddle stitching, which is probably the simplest form of stitching. A couple of staples down the center line on the fold. Again, this will have no spine. It's literally just the pages crossed over and stapled in the middle. There are other binding types like spiral bound. You'll see it in manuscripts, or in your thesis will be spiral bound. Wire bound is very similar to spiral bound, but with wire, would you believe? And caseless bindings, that's a hardback. You'll see it in kids' picture books and things where there's no hardcover case, so the pages are directly glued into the hardcover. So back to the anatomy of a cover. So here is my first book. So this is your front cover where your margins go top, right, and bottom. Your hinge, now this is different for hardcover and paperback. So you have a hinge here. This allows the book to open and close without damaging the cover. And then this is your kind of spread of the back cover. So you have your spine here, So you have a safe zone in your spine, on your front page, and on your back page. And these all have margins around them, and then you have your hinge between the back page and the front page and the spine. So there are certain things that matter. This is what the KDP cover calculator looks like. I have it linked. And it takes the exact dimensions of the book that you're making. So other self-publishing companies have their own calculators as well. So it's worth using the actual calculator rather than guessing, because they will take into account what type of paper stock they use, and what type of binding they use, and what size and everything like that. So what they want to know from you is, what is it, paperback? Is it hardback? Are you doing a color book or a black and white? Because they'll use different cardstock for that. Then for KDP, it's like cream or white on the paper stock, but it's not because they need to know the color. It's because they need to know what paper stock, like, so how many grams per inch that paper is, and therefore how much space that will take within the spine. The page turn direction, because your cover will, for left to right for English, your cover will be on the right hand side, your back will be on the left hand side as you look at it on the page, as you design it. And then the interior trim size, this is what size your actual pages are, where your printed work is, and what your margins are for your printed manuscript. KDP also give you formatted templates for manuscripts if you need it. And then for your page count, once you've done your manuscript in the format, in the size for your interior trim size, and included your front and back matter, that's your total page count. And that will obviously make a big difference for how big the spine needs to be. So when you put in your details into the cover calculator, for a paperback, you're going to get something like this. So it'll give you the dimensions of your full cover, your front cover, your safe area, your bleed. So your bleed is around the edge, and it allows for the printer to cut. Your margin then is going to be on your cover, but it's not a safe area for printing. So you need that little margin around where you've printed things, just to make sure that once everything is cut, everything is placed, that all of your important information is in the middle. Your spine obviously will be different for how many pages you have and what type of pages you use. And this will also have a safe area for printing and a margin around it. It also gives you the barcode margin, so how far away from the actual margins that is, and that is within the safe zone, so that's on top of the margins. So I've made a template myself just to color code it. Sometimes it's a little bit easier to see in color. So you have your bleed around the edge, you have your margins then in blue, your safe zone in pink, your safe spine here, your margins for your spine here in navy, and your barcode is here now, and this is your indent. So that again is on top of your page margins. And then for the hardcover, again, it's slightly different. So you'll obviously get your full cover width and height. This will be different now from the paperback one, because it will have the wrap and the hinge. Sorry, the wrap and the hinge. Your front cover will have your safe area and your margins, and your hinge. Your margins then will be where I showed you the top, bottom, and right. And then on the back page, the left, top, and bottom. And then around your spine, you will have margins as well. Wrap is on top of the margins, and that will go around and be glued in, but you want it to be printed because you don't want, it will look wrong if there's no printing on that. You know, the printing will stop before the glue. You want the printing to go straight around and glue under. And then your hinge obviously is after your spine and your spine margins. Then you have your hinge where the book will actually open and close. And these are the same then: spine safe area, spine margin. Your barcode margin now is taken not only just after your margins, it's taken after your margins and your hinge. So that is something to be aware of. It's slightly further in on the hardcover. So again, I've made a template. So here is your wrap, and you want to print right up to the edge of that wrap, just to ensure continuity. Your margins then similar, all around the front, all around the spine, all around the back. Your spine safe zone, your front page safe zone, your back page safe zone, your spine margins, your hinge, this here. And sometimes it can look a bit big on the template when you just look at it that way. But actually thinking about it, to open the book out fully and to read it, you do need a decent amount of hinge space. But KDP and other book companies, publishing companies, will allow for the spine size, and they will actually do this quite mathematically. So, and then your barcode and your barcode indent, again, being aware that that is on top of the hinge and the margins and in the safe zone. So I hope this helped. If you want to download our free templates, they're on the website beyond the button. And if you have any questions or issues, reach out. We don't bite anymore. The email is ac@beyondthebutton@gmail.com. Thank you very much.